Everyone, thank you for being here. The mayor is running a few minutes late. We're going to wait till 5:35. If she's not here, the mayor pro tem will commence the meeting. So just please be patient with us.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Harlingen City Commission meeting. The time is now 5:35 p.m. We will call this meeting to order. It has been posted as required by state law. We have a quorum of the commission as everyone is present. If you all will please join me in standing while Commissioner Kinsley leads us in our invocation.
As we gather here today to discuss matters of importance to our community, we ask for your guidance and wisdom. Grant us the strength to make decisions that benefit all residents and uphold the values that bind us together. May our discussions be thoughtful, our actions be just, and our commitment to the well-being of this city be unwavering. Amen.
Amen.
Now, the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mark?
Under state law, a conflict of interest exists if a commission member or certain members of that person's family has a qualifying financial interest in an agenda item. Members with a conflict of interest cannot participate in the discussion nor vote on the agenda item. Are there any known conflicts of interest to disclose at this time?
Yes, I would, on item 7L in the consent agenda.
None.
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 It's for the school district, just for closing streets, but at 7A.
Okay.
Moving on to item 3, announcements. With respect to items not listed elsewhere on this agenda, the City Commission may report on items of community interest, including announcing community events, announcing employee or community recognitions. Items 3A, Mayor's announcements. Mayor, do you have anything to announce?
No, I don't think.
Okay. Okay, moving on to item 3B, City Manager's announcements. Mr. Gonzalez, you have anything to disclose?
Yes, I would just like to thank staff for putting on a great event at Lucha Libre and the Fiesta de Piñatas. We had the fiesta on Saturday, which was great because Sunday the skies opened up and it poured almost all day. So great work to Alexis at DID and Parks and Public Works that helped with that event also. That's all I have.
Okay, moving on to item 3C, City Commission member announcements. Commissioners, do you have anything to announce?
Yes, today, along with Commissioner Morales and the city management team, I was able to attend a promotion ceremony at Harlingen Police Department where we got to see Martina Rodriguez promoted to sergeant, Guillermo Cavazos to commander, and Charles Fechner to deputy chief. And being someone who's spent 30 years of my life in service, I certainly appreciate what they do, as well as all our guys in blue back there along the back wall and our STEC folks and so on. So well done to all of them. Congratulations and thank you to all of you.
I'll just echo Commissioner Ford.
This guy.
This guy right there.
The Marine.
Kinsley, thank you. Appreciate you.
None.
Okay, moving on to item 4, proclamation presentation of awards. We'll begin with item 4A, Harlingen Animal Shelter Pet of the Week. Ms. Shannon.
Good evening, Mayor, City Commission. We have with us tonight Lady. She is about 2 years old. She's a female pit bull. She is current on her vaccines. She's great with kids. She's been around kids 5 and older, so she's great with kids. And she's great around other dogs. She's in the process of learning some commands. She already knows how to sit, but the shelter staff is working on additional commands. She came to us very emaciated, very skinny, and they've been working to put some weight on her. She's been with us since June, and she is up for adoption. So anybody who is interested in Lady is welcome to come by the Harlingen Animal Shelter at 1106 Markowski. They're open 7 days a week, and they're open from 1 to 6 in the evening. And I would also like to happily report that Monty from 2 weeks ago got adopted as well. So we are
Fantastic.
super excited. But this is Lady.
Thank you. Miss Costa?
No, she's not. But I think Josh is going to do it.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Lady, and thank you, staff. All right.
Okay, item 4B, USTA Outstanding Facility Award to HEB Tennis Center.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Commission. We're very proud, one, of course, to have Ramiro on our staff, but to be able to get this recognition through USTA. There's 41 participants that got awards throughout the U.S. There was 2 facilities in Texas, and we were one of them. The facilities were judged on the layout, the adaptation to the site, the excellent court surfaces, the light, ease and maintenance, accommodations for players, the spectator and press office officials, aesthetics, the graphics, and it goes on, right? But we were nominated for the public courts, which was a large tennis center. And so Ramiro and I were lucky to fly up to New York to receive the award. We have the award with us, the plaque. Mayor, I'm not sure if you want to present it to Ramiro. We can take a picture with the City Commission. But again, I'm very proud of the work that Ramiro's done out there at the facility. It's just we hear all positive things that are going on out there from the families, the kids, their reception to the people that are coming in, and so again, I'm just very, very proud of the work that Ramiro has done out there. You want to say anything?
I can real quick.
Sure.
So we'd like to thank you. We had a great time in New York, just representing Harlingen. Yeah, it was. I think, there were some really great facilities up there. There was one facility that spent $33 million on the facility, and we were in the same, in the same realm. So that was great. That was great to find out. But I'd just like to thank the city for allowing us to get out there and represent Harlingen over there, Parks and Rec. Just a ton of support from Javier and all the staff. All the maintenance crew is great. That's why it looks as good as it does out there. We really appreciate all of them. And the staff over at the tennis center, all the pros and the staff behind the counter. All of the reasons that he was talking about, what the public is saying about the facility and how welcoming it is. It's because of all of you, all of them, and all the staff at the facility. So once again, just want to thank you for the opportunity just to represent Harlingen. So thank you.
We do have that, but I just want to say thank you so much, Ramiro. I know you're thanking us, but really you are the rock star here. Thank you for all your hard work, and you've done so much in such a short period of time. And I know that when we heard about it, I know Gabe told me, and then Javier, and we were just over the moon, so excited for you. And thank you for what you're doing for Harlingen and for the kids that are in this community, knowing this, being able to see that Harlingen is on the map and representing us so well. So thank you so much. If the commission can join me so we can provide the proclamation.
Ramiro, I'd just like to say thank you again. You're doing a great job. From day one, you've been amazing to the city, and it was a great choice to hire you and bring you on board. So thank you. Now, the only thing I have to say is that the tennis balls at our purchase center, they don't work. None of them work for me, so I need to figure that out. I'm not.
We'll get you a new can for sure.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the 2024 Outstanding Tennis Facility Award goes to the HEB Tennis Center from Harlingen, Texas. Thank you for all of your hard work and for representing Harlingen. Can we all give them a huge round of applause?
Mayor, City Commission, before I sit down, I want to recognize somebody. We replaced our Assistant Parks Director, and so our new Parks Director is Juan Mendiola III, and he comes from the city of McAllen, and he's been with us for a week today, and so he's kind of hit the ground running and getting out there and meeting with the guys, meeting with the staff, and so we look forward to working with him, and I'm glad he came to work for City of Harlingen.
The best city in the valley.
Yeah. Appreciate it. I just want to say thank you to the City of Harlingen for giving me the opportunity. Thank you to our leadership, to Javi. Great team, great staff. I met everybody one-on-one, and I'm excited to be here. And I want to thank the citizens of Harlingen also. Can't wait to improve and grow. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Welcome to Harlingen.
Next up, we have 4C. Mayor's Business of the Month goes to Gulf Aviation, and the recipient is Ms. Arlene Garza.
So, do we have a video?
We should, can we cue up the video?
Gulf Aviation is a fixed-base operator, or also known as an FBO. We are 100% woman-owned minority small business here in Harlingen. We are partners on the airfield with Valley International Airport, here to provide round-the-clock support in the need of whether it's a diverted flight, storms that we are preparing for, emergency operations, whatever it is that needs to get done, our team is here to get it done. My father started the company 45 years ago this year. I would say that it's always been in my blood. After going to college, having family, coming back to the RGV, it was just an understood and something that I wanted to do to continue the family legacy, and for that I'm very thankful for my parents for allowing that opportunity. To our customers, thank you for believing in us and allowing us to service your aviation needs at Harlingen year in and year out for over the last 45 years. My husband, who is my partner in life, he is certainly my partner in business as well, and with his help and his support, we have continued to become very successful at where we're at today. And lastly, but not least, I would like to extend a heartfelt appreciation to Mayor Sepulveda, Harlingen City Commissioners, the City of Harlingen, Valley International Airport staff and board members for their continuous efforts to support growth on the airfield and for allotting opportunity for small business.
So, I didn't see Miss Arlene. There you are. If I don't know if you want to approach the podium and say a few words, and bring your family.
Arlene, is that your dad behind you?
It is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, and so I know you're going. I'll let you say a few words, but I just want to say, from the bottom of my heart, we are so grateful that you are here and that you have both chosen Harlingen, that the family has chosen Harlingen, and to see a woman-owned business celebrating their 45th year right here in the city of Harlingen, making through the pandemic and every other obstacle and challenge that you had along the way, and coming out on the other side and providing this service on the airfield. We are just so excited for the future of Gulf Aviation and obviously for Valley International Airport. I did get a message from Marv and said he wanted to really be here, but I think he was going out of town, or I hadn't had a chance to read all of it, but he wanted me to extend his congratulations to you as well. So.
Thank you so much. And like I said in the video, we really, it's a team effort, and we really are a partner on the airfield, and we appreciate, the opportunity to continue operating, and we look forward to the continuation of our operation. There is just thank you from the bottom of our heart. It means the world to our family. So thank you again.
If I can get the commission, and we'd love to take a photo and give you your award. Got it.
Moving on along to item 4D, proclaiming the week of October 6th to the 12th, 2024 as Fire Prevention Week. Before we call Chief Valderas and his team up, we do have a proclamation to read, and it reads as follows. Whereas the City of Harlingen is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all living in and visiting our state, fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally. Homes are the locations where people are at greatest risk from fire, and whereas home fires killed more than 2,700 people in the United States in 2022, according to the National Fire Protection Association, NFPA, and fire departments in the United States responded to 360,000 home fires, and roughly 3 out of 5 fire deaths happen in homes with either no smoke alarms or with no working smoke alarms. And working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires almost in half. And whereas smoke alarms send smoke well before you can, alerting you to danger in the event of a fire in which you may have as little as 2 minutes to escape safely. And Harlingen residents should install smoke alarms in every sleeping room, outside each separate sleeping area, and on every level of the home. And whereas Harlingen residents will ensure that their smoke alarms meet the needs of all their family members, including those with sensory or physical disabilities, and they should test their smoke alarms at least once a month. And whereas residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire, and the Harlingen Fire Department are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries throughout prevention and protection education. And Harlingen residents are responsive to public education measures and can take personal steps to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes. Whereas the 2024 Fire Prevention Week theme, Smoke Alarms, make them work for you, remind us of the importance of having working smoke alarms in the home. Therefore, I, Norma Sepulveda, Mayor of the City of Harlingen, do hereby proclaim October 6th through the 12th, 2024 as Fire Prevention Week throughout this city, and I urge all the people of Harlingen to make sure their homes have working smoke alarms and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of the Harlingen Fire Department. Chief Valderas.
Good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners. It's a great time. We're getting ready for October, but before that, every June, NFPA keeps us waiting as to what the theme is going to be. And when it did come out, it was very interesting that it would be talking about smoke alarms. Smoke alarms are some of the issues that we take for granted. We always assume they should be working, but sometimes we don't test them. The batteries are not working. So with that reminder for us to always make sure that they're working for us is what we're going to preach and remind people throughout the year, not just during Fire Prevention Week, is that we really need for the devices to do what they're intended to do. And to survive a structure fire, because they did go off, is something that shows that engineering and technology is there for people to use to their benefit. And that's something that through maintenance and testing, it can be done. And nothing sadder than hearing in the news that people did not have working smoke alarms in their home during a fire. That's very detrimental. And so we're going to go out in October during Fire Prevention Week, educate the schools, the kiddos, which is a great time. Based on the fact that the school is so large and the demand is so high, it's more a Fire Prevention Month than it is Fire Prevention Week. And there's also that autumn break for the schools, so we got to work with the fact that they're gone for a whole week in October too. But as far as the fire department, we're ready for it. It's challenging, but we're excited. Now that we're really trying to, get back to normal, COVID did really stop us from being out in the community. But now because of, everything that's going on, the demand is high and we're being able to go to these and provide our education. And that's something that's so exciting. And I appreciate the fact that we as a team do everything we can to go out in the community and preach safety year round. It's not just during 1 week, 1 month, it's year round. And I would just want to say that our team, our department, through our great leadership, does a great job of reminding us what our true job is, and that is to be public servants and to be there for the community. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission. Just to let you know, we did bring Sparky, but he's not up for adoption.
I was gonna say I didn't see him when y'all were hiding him back there. I said, "What happened this year? You didn't bring him." Can we? I think it'd be great if we could all have a picture with our caps and join the fire department. How about that?
Do I have to wear the cap?
Yes. I don't know if that's the cap.
I see that. Thanks.
Looks good. You look awesome. You look awesome, sir.
Can we have another round of applause for the... Did it fit
Okay. Continuing on to item 5, citizen communication. At this time, the public is invited to address the city commission and speak on any matter not specifically listed for public hearing elsewhere in this agenda. Please note that the city commission members may not respond to comments or deliberate on any topics addressed. Mayor, we had 7 sign-ups for citizen communication. We will begin with Mr. Raymond Reyes.
Mayor, Commissioners, Raymond Reyes, excuse me, 706 Nantucket Drive. Well, I mean, as we can tell, and I've said before, we got a lot of good things going on in Harlingen. of course, as anything, and I've stated many times, we got to take the good with the bad. Sometimes we make decisions because we get an impulse, we think it's the right thing to do, or we somehow think we're going to be glorified or we're going to be remembered. And, what I would say is to keep in mind that, we need to do the right things for the right reasons. We don't always agree on things that should be done. Just this past weekend, Mother Nature reminded us that she's going to do what she does. And I myself, because I own some property in downtown Jackson, went out there where there was some work done to prevent, AKA, flooding and stuff, which was quite interesting. I had never really seen it. Well, but I know why, because I had notified some departments about it. My side that I own, where the spot is, used to be known as the Foxy Lady Saloon, was working perfectly as far as the drainage. But on the other side, where Luna is, and that other restaurant, I had notified some departments that there was palm trees and debris and everything in there and stuff. And sure enough, I was able to post a video where that side was completely flooded and stuff. And going on past G Street, on Jackson, and some other streets, they were completely submerged. Of course, since we have our modern technology, I posted some nice videos so we can go back and look at those areas and make sure it gets addressed. Proper utilization of the tax dollars, and I know there's a tax increase, but, I've been paying taxes a long time. There's always an increase. There's always something behind the increase. But, if the money's not being utilized correctly, and we want to give ourselves kudos because we got X amount of dollars in a reserve, if something actually happens, and let's think about this, and I look at it from the military standpoint, do you really think if something bad happens, there's going to be meetings and things of that nature if things go wrong? And I can guarantee you, based on my experience, that, something's amiss. And, the economy is not doing that good. I know of 8 businesses that shut down. And I know other businesses that are having problems. A lot of citizens are struggling. A lot of my employees are having problems that I give them a little bit of extra so they can survive. So we need to take all that into consideration. That's y'all's job, not mine and stuff. But I get bombarded all the time because I'm not one to sit aside and not speak up. I'm definitely going to say something. And, we just got to do the right things for the right reasons. And with time, and if we do the right things, we'll be remembered for the type of person we are. Buzzer beat me this time, unfortunately, but oh well, it's a constant battle. Y'all have a good afternoon, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes.
Thank you. Next up, we have Mr. Rakesh Patel.
Are you ready? Dear members of the City Council, I'm here to express my concerns regarding the proposed use of the Hotel Occupancy Tax Fund for the renovation of the Casa Del Soul property. While revitalizing our city is essential, I believe that this particular expenditure lacks sufficient justification and accountability. The funds allocated from the HOT Fund should be used in ways that directly enhances tourism and benefit our community. However, it is difficult to ascertain how this spending on Casa del Sol will yield measurable benefits or attract visitors. The lack of clear metrics to verify the effectiveness of this investment raises significant concerns about fiscal responsibility. Moreover, there are numerous alternative projects and initiatives that could make more substantial impact on our local economy and community, from enhancing public spaces to supporting local events. There are better ways to utilize these funds that would provide tangible benefits for Harlingen residents and visitors alike. I urge the Council to reconsider this allocation and explore options that will ensure our resources are used wisely and transparently. Thank you for the attention on this matter.
Thank you so much, Mr. Patel.
Okay, up next we have Mr. R. Frank Lozano.
Good evening, City Commission. I rise again to speak out against item 10H on the agenda, the tax increase. Once again, the City Commission does have the opportunity, this last opportunity for this 2024 tax year, to lower housing costs for hardworking families here in the city, to lower housing costs for retired fixed income individuals here who might not be able to afford increased mortgage rates, to lower the cost for first-time home buyers who might be struggling to make that extra amount of money to pay for the housing. These are the things that are important to the citizens of Harlingen and why we need to adopt, instead of the voter approval rate, the highest tax rate that this commission could adopt by law without a referendum, to adopt the no new revenue rate, which would be the same amount of money as was spent in the prior year. Now, we want to take a little bit of this limited time just to address some of the arguments that were made at the last city commission. There was buzzwords thrown around like living wage or defund certain departments. The living wage, if the no new revenue rate allows the same amount of money as was spent last year, this year. If you weren't paying the employees of the city a living wage last year, if you need more money to pay them more this year in order to get a living wage, does that mean that you were not paying them the living wage last year? That's the question. As far as defunding certain departments, I don't know why that is always on the chopping block first when there's plenty of other places that can be looked at. Now, there's 21 new positions that the city is trying to implement. The City Commission has been very quick to point out the most beneficial ones, which is the paving road crew for the streets. However, there are other positions, 3 open positions for the social media or propagandists, as I would call them, and that's not necessary for the city to function. Other places that could be cut, I mean, the City Commission just this past year decided to bring in the RGV Humane Society in-house, increasing costs. Now you're going to take $200,000 more dollars from the Community Improvement Board in order to cover the cost. This is more money for less services, for a less humane Harlingen that has more deaths of animals. So these are some of the things that the City Commission could address, but I don't think the question should be, what is it that we can cut from the budget? The question should always be in a budget, why is it that we need this item from last year? If you're just adopting the same budget from last year without reviewing it, and I'm not saying that there's been no review, however, any business would tell you that you go through line by line and say, what is the return on investment for this item? And if there isn't sufficient justification, then that item should be removed. Now, those are the reasons that I come to speak out once more against the item 10H, and I humbly and respectfully request the City Commission to consider the hardworking nature of the citizens of Harlingen and keeping those dollars in their pockets. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lozano.
Okay, next up is Mr. Rudy Coronado.
Rudy Coronado, animal advocate and resident of District 3. I'm here today to address a deeply disturbing issue: the alarmingly high rate of euthanasia at your Harlingen Animal Shelter located at 1106 East Markowski. On August 29th, under the Public Information Act, I submitted a request for information to your city secretary housed here at this building. I obtained data on animal intake such as adoptions, rescues, euthanasia, and key stats like that. What I found was devastating. Since the city, under the leadership of the mayor, Norma Sepulveda, and Commissioner Renee Perez took control of the shelter, the rate of euthanasia has skyrocketed to an industrial scale. In July 2024 alone, out of 244 animals taken into your shelter, 203 were euthanized. That's right. Out of 244, you all euthanized 203 animals. And those aren't unique numbers. June and the previous months up until January, it's all like that. Okay? Yeah, that's disturbing, and that's heartbreaking, Bettis. It really is. You made a promise to me and to every citizen that once you took over that shelter that you were going to find every very little animal there a home. Did you not? You did. All right? These are not just numbers. These are lives, okay? Furry little animals with heartbeats that you all euthanized. And that's just, yeah, okay. What makes this situation even more frustrating is that $200,000 is supposedly secured for spay and neuter services. Meanwhile, 203 animals were put down in a single month. How can we justify needing that money for spay and neuter when you have no animals? Okay, you keep about what, 6 to 15 animals a month? Okay, these are your numbers that came out of this building from your city secretary. Okay, this is not misinformation, Perez. All right, I don't do that. Okay, when you all took over, I was expecting spay neuter clinics, vaccine clinics, high adoption numbers, high rescue numbers. Okay, we got the total opposite of any of that. Okay, and I stayed out of your hair, and I was hoping for numbers like the Humane Society and Palm Valley Animal Shelter. Okay, they do what should be done for the citizens and for the animals. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coronado.
Next, we have Desi Martinez.
Hard line to follow. I have Chacha at the house. Anyway, I want to congratulate you on a good note. MMA and branding Harlingen and all the other activities that we're trying to expand as marathons, bringing in people to run from Mexico, internationally, from the Congo, throughout Texas, here, and Rio Fest. I know it rains. I come from one of the communities I work for.
Mr.
Los
Martinez,
Renos Rodeo.
let me just, I don't want to, I'm sorry, before you get started, I want to make sure you have enough time. I was noticing here, you said you wanted to speak on 2 public hearings.
Well, these are, they called me back and said I couldn't.
Do you have 2 public hearings? They're not. Okay. I just wanted
They clarified it was action items versus public hearings.
Okay.
No, I don't want to get into the public. No, it won't take too much of your time.
I'm sorry.
But
We'll give you a little more
The
because I
MMA
interrupted.
promotion, thank you. The MMA promotion is tremendous. You bring international as well, families into this organization we have and others. I propose, and it would take us to the next note, which is the consideration of what Mr. Patel was talking about. I'm not against using tourism funds that we have. I work in the business as a generalist, as an economist. But how much and where can we tap different sources to get there? What would happen, and you build buildings and not build buildings, and work with technical teams. What if I told you the possibility of doing revitalization, including this committee you're setting up, the National Revitalization Project, to develop and bring back traffic into downtown and build up the community again, along with HUD programs, along with EDA. If we could bring $6 million to match the $3 million that Gabe was proposing. Now, there's 3 options as a builder, and I think you can open up your eyes on this. I hope you do, both of you, that bring this revitalization concept to the table. Demolish, I'm not in favor of that. Reconstruct, as Gabriel's saying, for $3 million, and we still have a building that we don't have any numbers to, like Mr. Patel said. Or maybe consider the structure, superstructure, and making a pavilion for new startup businesses and other activities internationally. Invite Monterrey, San Antonio, Houston, that we are the I-69 connection to those industries from Mexico as well. So there's so many things we could do, but to take action today on a off-the-hip type deal isn't justified. I agree with Patel, but there are other sources, and we can all work together. Set up the committee, and I'll be happy to help assist you volunteering on it for that, and within 90 days, we'll give you a turnkey project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez.
I brought you some things, Mayor, on more promotions.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, next we have Robert Lefwich.
Robert Lethwich, 909 East Park, but I'm back here again We got 2.5 million.
Mr. Leftwich, did you want to speak on citizen communication or the public hearing?
There's no public hearing. It's already been discussed. I hope you add that time back onto mine. The fact is that we're going to talk about this tax notice right here, right? 2.5 million. It's $350,000 of that is new construction. So not all of that is on is new construction. 2.15 million is on existing taxpayers. I just wanted to bring up something, the tax levy yield curve over the last 4 years, because there's 3 people up for re-election in November, and when y'all got into office.
Excuse me, Robert, could you start again, please?
We can all hear, it's fine.
Okay, we're talking about the yield curve on the levy. The levy amount, which is what everybody pays, was $21,385,000. Now this year, after this 2.5 million property tax increase, is going to be $27,547,000. That's an increase over y'all's term, and I know Commissioner Morales has voted against these increases, of $6.12 million. And all we hear is that y'all are lowering the rate. Yeah, you're lowering the rate, but the levy's going up. The certified tax totals are going up. The certified tax total was $3.4 billion. Now it's $5.2 billion. Let's look at some comparisons, because we heard Commissioner Lopez, you said last time, well, you mentioned that if we didn't like the tax increase, we could go live somewhere else, which I thought was kind of unprofessional and not a very good statement from a public servant. So I did. I went and looked at another city, and you overlooked the fact that McAllen is a pretty nice place to go live. Well, their tax rate is 10 cents lower than ours, and their budget is not 27 million. It's 57 million, and their tax increase was only $1.7 million. How can the city of McAllen have a smaller tax increase than the city of Harlingen? Well, what it is wasted mismanagement. We just heard about it. The fact that y'all took over the shelter, instead of leveraging with a nonprofit that already had a $600,000 a year contribution, now y'all no longer have a foster focus. Now it's a kill facility. Do you need the same staffing levels if all you're going to do is euthanize those animals? I don't think so. Y'all misled the public. Y'all are doing it on the tax increase. You did it when you took over the Humane Society, turned it into a bureaucratic city shelter. You're wasting our money. There's no need. When the city of McAllen only needs $1.7 million, they've got a $653 million overall budget. That's way more increase than we need, and y'all need to focus on that.
Thank you, Mr. Leftwich.
Up next, we have Ms. Lorraine Galarza.
Hello. Sorry. My name is Lorraine Galarza, and I reside in District 1. So I'd like to start off with quoting Norma, what you posted on Nextdoor app. And if those of you are not familiar, you can download it. I'm going to read, quote unquote, what she wrote about what happened to this city on Sunday. This is going to be a long post, but an important one. So I encourage you to stick with me. On Sunday, Harlingen experienced a significant rain event, receiving nearly 6 inches of rain in just 2 hours. It's important to note that when you get that much rain in such a short period of time, water is naturally going to collect on the streets. Don't be alarmed. That's expected. What's critical is that the water receded quickly and that it doesn't go over the curb. As your mayor and a resident who lived through the floods of 2018 and 2019, I understand firsthand the challenges flooding brings. That's why since taking office a little over 2 years ago, the City Commission has made drainage a top priority. If you all are interested in reading the rest of her quote-unquote statement, like I said, go into Nextdoor app. Well, I'd like to invite you, Miss Mayor, down to Linda Avenue, because from what I understand, you were out of town on a trip. I wanted to invite you to bring your plunger with you, because all the residents in District 1, we communicate, since I oversee the neighborhood watch. And all of us had to be getting plumbers to go unclog our toilets. Fortunately, I did a service request to the Harlingen Waterworks, and they remedied the situation that evening. Unfortunately, a lot of people had to pay for plumbers. We're in a time of inflation, Mayor. I'm not buying any of those quotes you're putting. You can try to sugarcoat it to other people, but I'm sure if anybody went on there, they will see the videos and all the problems that we had. Not to mention, I had already addressed this board, this commission, in reference to the fraudulent activity as far as when the city sells a house. You all have not updated the flood codes since the 1970s. How is it that you did 3 tax increases in 2 years, but flooding is your top priority? I think not, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Galarza.
That concludes our citizen communication, Mayor. Okay. Moving on to item 6, approval of minutes. Item 6A, special meeting of June 28, 2024. And item 6B, regular meeting of July 17, 2024.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes as is, or are there any amendments?
Motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. Item 7, consent agenda. No discussion is anticipated on any of the items in this section because they are routine business, were included in the budget adoption process, or have been previously discussed as a staff report or discussion item. These items will be considered collectively by a single vote unless a commission member requests an item be removed from the consent agenda.
I ask to pull 7A and 7L, and then I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, let's also do O.
O?
So we,
A, L, and O. Anyone else?
A.
Correct. A motion to remove those 3 items and to approve the rest.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
A, L, and O. Do you have one you want to pull?
Okay, okay, yes. Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Okay. Item 7A, consideration and possible action to approve a request from the Harlingen High School Student Council to close the following streets: 900 block of Marshall Avenue, intersection of 7th and 9th Streets, Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024, from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. for their high school homecoming parade. Please.
Motion approved.
Second.
Okay. And Commissioner
Abstain.
Brennan is abstaining. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then
L.
consideration and possible action to approve a request from the Parks and Recreation Department to
No,
close the
it's-
following streets.
L.
L.
Oh, didn't Commissioner Messer say
L and
aye?
O. Just, you
L.
could read L
I
first.
said I as in A-Y-E.
Oh.
I thought the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, L.
Okay, so L.
Larry.
Larry.
Lima.
Okay. On the top
L,
of the page.
consideration and possible action to approve an agreement with the Marine Military Academy for the use of the hotel motel funds to promote tourism by maintaining the Iwo Jima Monument attachment. Excuse me.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Abstention from Commissioner Kinsley. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Item O, consideration and possible action to approve the installation of speed humps in the following locations: East Washington North Street, 1200 West Monroe Street, and 1600 East Van Buren.
I received from a resident on, I'm not sure, I don't think this is you, 1202 West Monroe, on West Monroe Street. It's your east.
Yeah, I'm east, he's west.
Okay, so I think that's District 4. Can we add that to the study? Okay. And then if the chief is here, I'd like to see if there are any accidents on that street. You could send that to me.
Excuse me,
Oh,
Mayor.
that's mine.
What was that address again, Mayor?
Well, I don't want to give the specific address, but in the 1200 block of
Okay.
West Monroe.
Okay.
1200
Well, that's what this says, 1200
West
West Monroe.
Okay.
It's on.
Right. Oh, well, I'm sorry. I thought, so you added that. Okay.
That, but see, in speaking of, talking about
there's
referencing accidents, there was one, if I'm not mistaken, the 500 block of West Monroe.
I think it's in, I don't know if it's this specific, that's why I'm asking if you can assist in telling us, I don't know where along there there'll need to be the speed humps, but it'll be helpful to have accident report to see, so that way they're placed in the locations where it's most needed. Because I got some pictures, did you see of an accident?
I didn't get those pictures.
Okay.
So let me ask Oscar, I guess you're the answer man on this. So this has all been approved
No, they're
by
doing
the engineering?
No, this is to start the process.
It says installation.
To approve the installation, but that involves the engineer conducting his analysis.
Okay, so no analysis has been done yet.
No, this will start the process.
Okay.
They'll only do them if it's needed.
Correct.
Yeah, I was going to add one too. I got a call from a constituent. I want to do one off North Vista del Sol, between, well, Bass Boulevard and North Vista del Sol Drive.
And I guess, Chief, if your office can send it to both, to the city commission and then to staff. Thank you. All right, is there a motion approved?
Motion.
Motion approved, subject to the supplement by Commissioner Pettis.
Okay, and second by,
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on.
Item 8, staff reports and other discussion items. Items in this section are not expected to require action by the City Commission and are generally for information only. However, any item listed in this section may become an action item with the request of the mayor or after the request of any two commission members or the city manager. Item 8A, City Manager's Report.
I would just like to say that we're going to have a joinage report at the next meeting to talk about the issues regarding the recent rain activity that we had. That would allow discussion between the commission and staff, so that's all I have.
Excuse
Item
me,
B,
when
staff-
is that meeting?
All right, our next meeting.
Next meeting.
Yes.
And I do want to take a moment to commend the Public Works Department. I don't know if Chris is here. I don't, there you are, Chris, and Oscar, and city management. I know that this entire commission and myself were on the phone and through phone calls and messages and reaching out to you so that way you can take action immediately, and I do appreciate that. And I know that there was significant rain, almost 6 inches of rain, and to see all of the hard work that you have been putting in the maintenance and in the improvements, and especially in the detention over in Lozano Pond, and seeing that rise to 3 feet and keeping that water off the streets was really instrumental. So I applaud you, and I look forward to your presentation at the next meeting.
Yeah, and I just wanted to commend you guys as well, because I got a lot of some calls from my constituents, and they were impressed with the improvement in the drainage in our area. And I give you guys all the credit because you guys are the rock stars. So thank you very much. Christopher, Ruth, and Oscar, you guys are awesome. Thank you.
I think it was all Ruth. I'm just kidding, Chris. No, but really, thank you. It really means a lot. And I know that there was a lot in everybody's district, really. And so this is definitely helpful. So thank you. All right.
Okay. Item B, staff reports. There are none to disclose, Mayor.
Okay.
So we'll move on to item 9, public hearings. At this time, the mayor will invite members of the public who have filled out the public hearing and the citizen communication form to address each item listed in this section. Please limit your comments to the topic of that public hearing. If more than one public hearing is being held, you will be allowed to speak during each topic, provided you have filled out the public hearing and citizen communication form for the appropriate topic. If you are signed up for 2 or more public hearings, you will be limited to 5 minutes for all topics. Mayor, there were no signups for public hearing today.
Okay, well then let me just do this real quickly. Item 9A, public hearing for an SUP to allow an adult business in a general retail district located at 117 Eastport Court, Suite 1, bearing a legal description of Lot 5, Block 1, Eastport Center subdivision. At this time, we'll open the public hearing. Having no one here to speak for or against, or having signed up, we'll close the public hearing. Item 9B, public hearing for rezoning request from residential single-family district to neighborhood services district for 1.73 acres of land out of Block 6, Section 297, Stewart Place re-subdivision located on the southeast corner of Stewart Place and Brenham Roads. This time, we'll open the public hearing. Having no one here to speak for or against, we will close the public hearing at this time. Item 9C, public hearing amending the City of Harlingen Code of Ordinances, Chapter 34, Offenses and Miscellaneous Provision, Article 5, Offenses involving Public Peace and Order, Section 34-114, Noise Disturbances, by adding a provision which exempts properties located within industrial zone or land use from the noise regulations. This time we'll open the public hearing on this item. Having no one here to speak for or against or signed up to speak, we will close the public hearing at this time. Item 9D, public hearing for the voluntary annexation request of an 8.36 acre tract of land legally described as Lot 1, Block 2, Georgette subdivision located at the southwest corner of Bass Boulevard and Johnson Lane. At this time, we will open the public hearing. Having no one here to speak for or against, we will close the public hearing. Item 9E, public hearing for the voluntary annexation request of 56.45 acre tract of land out of Survey 295 Stewart Place subdivision located along the south side of Garrett Road, approximately 650 feet east of Altas Palmas Road. This time we'll open the public hearing. Having no one here to speak for or against this item, we will close the public hearing. Item 9F, public hearing for substantial amendment to the City of Harlingen's 2023-2024 one-year action plan in the amount of $39,000 from Vesto Park Lighting Phase 3 to Vesto Park improvements. This time we'll open the public hearing. Having no one to speak for or against this item or having signed up, we will close the public hearing at this time.
Okay. Continue on to item 10, action items. City Commission will discuss, consider, and take any action deemed necessary on items listed in this section, including the adoption of a resolution or an ordinance. Item 10A, consideration and possible action to adopt an ordinance on first reading for a special use permit SUP to allow an adult business tattoo studio in a general retail district located at 117 East Porte Court, Suite Number 1, bearing a legal description of Lot 5, Block 1, East Porte Center subdivision, applicant Gabriel Vargas, Planning and Development.
Good afternoon, Mayor Commissioners. A proposed tattoo studio on 4th Avenue, kind of behind the Dairy Queen on Loop 499. And that's the building where they're proposing to locate. And we had no opposition. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval unanimously.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Caption, please.
An ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, ordinance number 16-8 of the City of Harlingen to issue a special use permit, SUP, to allow an adult business tattoo studio in the general retail district located at 117 Eastport Court, Suite 1, bearing a legal description of Lot 5, Block 1, Eastport Court subdivision. Applicant Gabriel Vargas.
Motion approved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 10B, consideration and possible action to adopt an ordinance on first reading for a rezoning request from residential single-family R1 district to neighborhood services NS district for 1.73 acres of land out of Block 6, Section 297, Stewart Place re-subdivision located on the southeast corner of Stewart Place and Brenneman Roads. Applicant Moreland Surveying, Planning and Development.
This item was withdrawn by the applicant.
Okay.
And he will apply again late this year or early next year.
Okay, thank you. Moving on.
Item C, consideration and possible action to adopt an ordinance on first reading to amend the City of Harlingen Code of Ordinances, Chapter 34, Offenses and Miscellaneous Provision, Article 5, Offenses involving Public Peace and Order, Section 34-114, Noise Disturbances, by adding a provision which exempts properties located within an industrial zone or land use from the noise regulations. Applicant, City of Harlingen, Planning and Development.
Mark, can you read the caption?
An ordinance amending the City of Harlingen Code of Ordinances, Chapter 34, Offenses and Miscellaneous Provision, Article 5, Offenses involving public peace and order, Section 34, 114, Noise disturbances, by adding a provision which exempts properties located within an industrial zone or industrial land uses from the noise regulations, providing for publication and ordaining other matters related to the foregoing.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 10D, consideration and possible action to adopt an ordinance on second and final reading for the voluntary annexation request of an 8.36 acre tract of land legally described as Lot 1, Block 2, Georgette subdivision, located at the southwest corner of Bass Boulevard and Johnston Lane, applicant Georgina and Saul Gonzalez. Planning and Development.
Mark?
An ordinance extending the corporate limits of the City of Harlingen by annexing for full purpose an 8.36 acre tract legally described as Lot 1, Block 2, Georgette subdivision, located at the southwest corner of Bass Boulevard and Johnson Lane, binding the land to all of the acts, ordinances, resolutions, and regulations of the city, approving an annexation services agreement, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 10E, consideration and possible action to adopt an ordinance on second and final reading for the voluntary annexation request of a 56.45 acre tract of land out of Survey 295, Stewart Place subdivision, located along the south side of Garrett Road, approximately 650 feet east of Altas Palmas Road. Applicant Javier Hinojosa, care of Carlos Snavely, Planning and Development.
Mark?
An ordinance extending the corporate limits of the City of Harlingen by annexing for full purpose a 56.45 acre tract of land out of Survey 295 Stewart Place subdivision, located along the south side of Garrett Road, approximately 650 feet east of Altos Palmas Road, binding the land to all of the acts, ordinances, resolutions, and regulations of the city, approving an annexation services agreement, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Javier, it seems like over the past year, we've had a bunch of annexations. What are we, like 200 acres bigger than we were a year ago?
Sounds about right. It's a work sometimes, working with the property owners and convincing them to come in. So sometimes they want to come in from the beginning, and sometimes it takes work in convincing them or selling the city.
It's certainly a lot easier when it's voluntary, but I think the one good thing about the annexations you just mentioned is that the majority of them are subdivisions.
Right.
So it brings in housing units, additional property values, and more importantly, population.
So in other words, you're saying District 5 is booming.
That's not exactly what I said, but I okay.
That's what you meant.
Okay.
Well, we are very happy and we welcome everyone back into Harlingen. Great job, Javier.
Item 10F, consideration and possible action to adopt an ordinance on second and final reading, amending the City of Harlingen Code of Ordinances, Chapter 38, Solid Waste, Article 2, Collection and Disposal, Section 38-29, Heavy Bulky Waste Collections, by clarifying the date and location to place bulky items for collection, Section 38-31, Duty to provide receptacles, specifications, by clarifying the size of the receptacle for single-family residential, Section 38-33, receptacles to be accessible to collectors, by clarifying the accessibility of the placement of the garbage container, and Section 38-39, tree limbs, brush trimmings, and the like collection, by clarifying the date and location for brush to be placed on city right-of-way for collection services. Applicant, City of Harlingen, Planning and Development.
Mark?
An ordinance amending the City of Harlingen Code of Ordinances, Chapter 38, Solid Waste, Article 2, Collection and Disposal, Section 3829, Heavy Bulk Waste Collections, by clarifying the date and location to place bulky items for collection, Section 3831, Duty to provide receptacles, specifications for clarifying the size of the receptacle for single-family residential, Section 3833, receptacles to be accessible to collectors, by clarifying the accessibility of the placement of the garbage container, and Section 3839, tree limbs, brush trimmings, and the like collection by clarifying the date and location for brush to be placed on city right-of-way for collection services, providing for publication, and ordaining other matters related to the foregoing.
I have a question. How will the citizens of Harlingen know this change?
So this was discussed at the last meeting.
Right.
There will be some social media efforts, and then we're going to work on door hangers, and then it's going to be a lot of courtesy notices to get people to comply.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Item 10G.
Just one second. I'm going to move a little around. I know you're really fast, Robert, but I see Gerald here. I'm sure he's been working hard and all the wonderful work you do at the Boys and Girls Club. We won't have you stay and wait all day for us to do this. So let's just move over to item, let's see.
10R.
10R.
Q, no?
10Q. Let's go to 10Q and then 10R. Can we? Yep.
10Q and 10R.
Javier, you're up.
Could you read?
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Consideration and possible action to approve a contract with the Boys and Girls Club of Harlingen for fiscal year 2025 for $145,757 for 10 service programs and authorize the city manager to sign the contract. Parks and Recreation.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Item R, consideration and possible action to approve a contract with the Boys and Girls Club of Harlingen for fiscal year 2025 for $140,104 for youth service programs and authorize the city manager to sign the contract. Parks and Recreation.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you so much for all of the wonderful work you do for the boys and girls of the city of Harlingen. Thank you. And I think Mr. Patel is here too, so why don't we move over to W?
W. Consideration and possible action to allocate $1 million from the hot fund balance to the Casa del Soul renovation project. City manager.
Mayor, members of the commission, as you know, we had Scott Josloff, the president of the Hotel Motel Association for the state of Texas here a few weeks ago, and during his presentation, one of the things we asked him was if we could use hot funds to address the issues with Casa del Soul, and he said most definitely that we could. We'd have to track the hotel stays that we anticipated would generate, and so based with that, we had John Piercy volunteer her services to come in and give us an analysis on what has happened to the Casa del Sol and what the implications are. So what we did immediately was we canceled all events through the end of the year. It is closed to the public for now. We anticipate that it'll be closed through June of next year. And he also gave us a project estimate on what he would take to renovate that facility to bring it back to its original glory, and that cost in today's dollars was about $3 million. So in order to start the process, we need to get engineering design, structural engineers to give us their opinion of the work that's going to need to be done to the facility, and then get that in order to actually go out for bids to get someone to give us a quote for the renovation. So this would start the process. This would allow us to hire an engineer, an architect, and any other type of professional that we would need, asbestos and lead base, all that, to get a true picture of what needs to be done to the facility.
So I have some questions.
Yes.
So where will the other $2 million come from?
We would have to apply for grants and perhaps ask some of the other funding agencies that are part of the city to actually help with some of those costs. Could be the 4A, the 4B, could be the city funding part of it ourselves. We haven't made that decision yet. The first thing we need to do is, because the facility is shut down, come up with some plans on what it would take to actually bring it back. So
And this facility, in the last couple of years, well, exclude COVID, but in the last couple of years, who uses this facility and for what?
It does get a lot of use, especially on the weekends. A lot of families use it for quinceañeras, banquets. It's relatively inexpensive to rent. When you compare the cost of renting that facility, it's about $1,000 compared to the cost of renting the convention center. To rent all of it would be about $8,000. So there's a huge difference. And so a lot of people locally do rent it for various events. We've had, in the past, we used to have the Feast of Sharing, part of that in that building, but they've since moved to the convention center.
Okay, so with regards to Mr. Patel's question, do out-of-towners use it? Do out-of-towners come here? And do out-of-towners stay here?
Out-of-towners come to look at the facility because of the pedigree of how it was designed and created. The architect that designed that facility is very famous, Taniguchi, is that?
Yeah, Taniguchi.
Yeah.
Alan?
So is there a historical marker there?
No, it's not a historical structure yet, but it could be.
But is the my thing is I just have a question because I know it's coming from the hot fund, but like the amount of tourism that it's going to generate, does it generate like about $1 million worth of tourism?
We haven't done an analysis for that, Commissioner. We did have recently a group of architects that actually went inside the building, even though it's closed, to look at it. And so the majority of those people were from out of town. I think it was a group of about 20 that were visiting. And so they stayed in hotels here. And so it does generate revenue, but whether it generates the $1 million mark, I can't answer that right now. We don't know.
Just so you all know, I've been working with Anna to look at grants on this. Anna sent me an email. I'm willing to share it with you guys. It was slim pickings out there for grants. The grants were like $10,000, $5,000, $15,000 for historical renovation. For you to start getting into like the big ticket historical renovations, we would have to get, and if Anna's here or Oscar can speak to it, we have to get a special designation. Remember how we had talked about at one point getting like film friendly designation or that city friend or that music friend? It has to go that route, and because of like the record keeping requirement, she recommended that we'd end up having to hire someone to do it, and then it just became burdensome just on the organizational side of it, right? And so, if you guys recall, we had the guy come and speak to us from the hot tax. That's where I got the idea that this money can be used for this. It is going to take about $3 million total, but I've been working with Josh doing research on how we can create a whole, what I'm calling Harlingen architectural/arts tourism industry based on not only this building, but numerous buildings that we have throughout the town. I think we have, I looked last night, I gave an email to Mr. Patel, and if he recalls off the top of his head, I think there's like 20 buildings in and around Harlingen that have architectural significance. That includes the Lancey Hill building that we have, the old public library, that was designed by John York, and then we have a bunch that are in Park Place. There's actually one down the street from my house. I just found out last night when I was doing the research. It's on the corner of Pierce and 13th Street. It's a pretty cool house if you drive by it. And so the opportunities, the financial opportunities are a little slimmer than I would like. You guys know I always go for grants on this type of stuff, but this is one method we can do it.
Have we got any input from the, I'm sorry to interrupt. Have we got any input from the CV board or anything like that? Because I know those are the guys that,
Correct. No, we have not, and I'm willing to table this. I talked to Mr. Patel about it earlier, and I know Sarang reached out to me about bringing it before the CVB board. What I learned today, and I didn't know this, is that unlike the 4B board, the 4A board, they don't really necessarily approve the spending on this. It just needs to be. But I agree with Mr. Sarang that if we're going to go this route on the hot tax, we want to make sure that the recording method or the metric method meets all state standards. And so I would like, if we could table this for 2 weeks, have a special meeting, and Mr. Patel said he would work on setting one up between now and our next meeting for them to get on board, learn about it, ask questions about it. And then also for us to talk to the gentleman who came in and did the presentation, the one from Austin, to make sure that the metrics he gives us is something that we all feel comfortable with.
I agree.
The things I'm looking at, like the $15,000 grant I've already talked to Hannah about applying for, is I want to do an audio tour for all the different buildings, right? And so I think there's a lot of really neat avenues we can go on this to really build it up. And I told Mr. Patel I'd love his input. Sarang, I didn't know this, but apparently he went to college
Architecture.
for architecture, right? So I think Sarang would be a fantastic person. Any of you guys want to be on board with this museum, so on and so forth, so that as we develop this architectural industry in Harlingen, we get the best feedback, we get the best input to make it as successful as possible.
So I think that's a great idea, and I was going to suggest to potentially table it. I didn't get a chance to talk to Mr. Patel, but I did speak to another board member that had, similar reservations. The only thing I would add is maybe Mr. Piercy could present to them as well.
Absolutely, I can ask him.
I think that would be helpful, and our CVB board, I think, is very unique in that it really does have folks that are in the industry, hotel, and then the convention center, and I think it's going to be important for them to give input. I didn't know that either, that they don't make recommendations, which is the reason why it wasn't on the agenda.
Well, to clarify that, they're supposed to provide recommendation to the CVB staff on the use of their funds and provide strategies for marketing, for using the funds, but for the CVB. This is coming out of the hot fund balance, which is something that's outside of the purview. So they wouldn't normally make a presentation on how to use the fund balance portion or using funds for the MMA, for HPAT, for the Birding Festival. Those are outside of their purview because it's coming from funds, hot funds that they don't have access to. But we can certainly work with them to provide a presentation on this. Now, just a reminder, the 24th, we're trying to have a joint meeting with the EDC. So the entire commission hopefully can make it to that meeting.
Right.
So that date would be out.
Okay, I'll work with Mr. Patel to figure out a date that you can get a quorum with your members. And then if you can give me like 2 or 3 dates, I'll work with Mr. Piercy to see if we can get him in to answer any questions you guys have. Okay?
So Gabe, they don't have control. I didn't fully understand that. So this is the hot tax money, but because it's already in the fund. Is that what you're saying?
No, the ordinance that created the CVB has them making recommendations to the CVB board on strategies for marketing for the CVB.
Okay, and that's it?
That's it.
Okay. Well, maybe we should revisit that just because of their input. I think is valuable to be able to have them in the conversation. I understand that it comes to the commission, but it would be. I think it'd be helpful so that way, especially since we're going to be moving forward and trying to really maximize after we had that presentation. And I think that way we're not wasting any time, right? When things come before the commission, they've already had an opportunity to take a look at it. So maybe we can revisit that ordinance if it's possible. So was that a motion to table?
Yeah, I'll take a motion on the table.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Patel, for your time. And you're welcome to stay. I just, sometimes these can go really long. And then I also saw David from Borba. So, Javier, well, let's go to Pete. Okay. Am I missing anybody else?
I don't think so.
Item P, consideration and possible action to approve a request from the Harlingen Parks and Recreation Department to close portions of the following trails: Arroyo Colorado Hike and Bike Trail, Henry Roberts Loop, Arroyo Delta, Como and Olmos Trail, and portion of the Frank Bogus Memorial Trail for the showdown at the Arroyo October 12th and 13th, 2024, Parks and Recreation.
Yes, Mayor, City Commission. This request here is to close down these portions of the trail at the, of course, the Arroyo Colorado Hike and Bike Trail, and then the thicket. And then, of course, we're going to be hosting the actual race at Arroyo Park. And so David is here with Vorba, and, I really appreciate him picking Harlingen to host this race. And again, this is the only race south of San Antonio on this series. And so again, we really appreciate him. helping us build the trails, and then also bringing this mountain bike race series down here to Harlingen. He's here to speak to you all, I guess, make the request.
Yes, definitely. Mayor and City Commission, thank you for your time today. Very excited. This is the third annual Showdown at the Arroyos, which we're calling Showdown at the Arroyo Tres for this year. It'll take place the weekend of October 12th and 13th at Arroyo Park. We're expecting anywhere between 200 to 300 racers from around the state, from Mexico, from surrounding states, to come down for this race. I was just in Sugar Land this past weekend, and they had over 400 racers. So we could have a very big turnout this year as demand and participation increases. And we've been working very closely with local hotels and really promoting the city of Harlingen for this event. And we're very excited to once again have it. And we created a promo video this year. And one of the new things we're doing this year as well is we're going to live stream it using Real Sports Live, which typically does like high school football games and things like that. So this is the first time that this event has ever been streamed. And to my knowledge, the first time it's been streamed in over a decade here in the state. So we're very excited about that. So you don't have to come out and be out in the heat. Hopefully we got good weather that weekend. You can watch from the comfort of your living room on TV.
So, David, I just want to say thank you so much for what you're doing for the community. And I know aside from this, you'll do a lot of volunteer work. And I was also telling the folks from Bicycle World last time when we recognized them that y'all work closely together and do a lot of cleanups out on the trails. And no one pays you to do that, but you do it out of the love of our trails and making them beautiful and bringing people here and shining a light on the city of Harlingen is amazing. Last year was great. I know that this year is going to be even better. I know I've been talking to Visit Harlingen about how we can make next year's, because you're coming back next year, even bigger. And we had this conversation on the hot tax also when we had Scott come and talk to us. And your type of event is something that we want to support you and to ensure that it can just grow and become bigger and bigger. And I know that when I was there last year, there was folks from Canada and from Mexico and from all over, and they just, right, Javier, they kept saying, oh, your trails are amazing, they're beautiful. And so we hope that obviously they all come back and more want to join too. And so I just commend you for all the amazing work that you're doing here. We'll know that the commission and obviously city staff and management, I know you work closely with Javier, but let us be a resource for you, see how we can support you in these efforts. We thank you so much. Did you have something?
No, I was just going to say thank you, and I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. I think those are the only ones waiting on you, so we can go back.
Okay. So we'll go back to item 10G.
Yes.
Okay. Consideration and possible action to approve an ordinance on second and final reading adopting the City of Harlingen's budget for fiscal year 2025 by record vote finance department.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. This is the second and final reading of the budget. Just to recap, total proposed revenues are $114,385,180, and our proposed expenditures are $115,585,034. And this does include all of the funds of the city. And this does have to be a record vote.
I'm sorry, I didn't see you back there. I'm going to get you next. Loaves and Fishes is going to be able to go home too. Sorry, you were hiding. Okay. All right. So are there questions? No? Okay. So everybody has their...
Yeah. If I could just say something.
Yes, sir.
More of our taxes that we receive are from sales tax. When we vote to lower the tax rate, everybody's city taxes, city property taxes go down, unless the Cameron County Appraisal District raises the value of those properties. And then we get more money, and then we offset our gains by lowering the tax rate. And if you want to keep last year's number, then you're going to have to forget we live in an inflationary world. And, I went to Walmart this week, my once-a-month visit. It was like $300 and some. I nearly choked, right? But the price of asphalt, the price of concrete, the price of machines, everything has gone up. And if you want to put financial stress on the city, if you want to destroy the city's AA rating, go ahead. But I'm not going to sit here and destroy our financial status.
Well, I'll just also and I know that next item will be to adopt the tax rate, but in terms of the budget, I know that you worked really hard and Gabe worked really hard to really take it down as far as it could. And I know that there's been talk about the adoption of a no new revenue tax rate. But when you look at no new revenue means if you're going to have the same revenue that you had the year before, then you can do nothing different than you did the year before. And so that makes it difficult for communities to continue to grow and to provide the exceptional services that we want to provide. Having to fund public works, having to dip into the general fund, which I think typically, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember Harlingen doing that in the past. I know you've been here for 21 years. I don't recall, unless I'm wrong, actually going into the general fund to make these capital improvement purchases, so that way we can have a drainage crew, so we can have a streets crew. Has that happened in the past?
We have dipped into the general fund balance before, but only for capital costs, not for operational expenses, because those are recurring.
Right.
And so what we did out of this year's budget, we did go into the fund balance for the general fund, but only for capital items, to create the street crew, to pay for some capital equipment for some of the departments that we needed. Others were paid for out of the revenue that we're going to generate. But all the positions that we're creating are coming from the revenue that we're creating outside of the fund balance.
Right. So I think, we are being responsible in ensuring that there's no wasteful spending here. Those 21 positions, I know that there was some comments about the communications department. We have the one position, and it's to fill the position that was already on our books, right? And now we're replacing that position with a new person to fill that spot. And in addition to that, we have more groundskeepers. We have more, people in parks, people in public works, and those are places where it's essential. And I don't even think that we have sufficient people in parks, having spoken to Javier and to Public Works and to Chris and even Manny over in code enforcement. We need more people, but we can't grow that fast. And so we're trying to do that responsibly. But no new revenue means no new positions, no new equipment, no new anything. And doing what we did just last year keeps us at the status quo. I think that the city wants more. The city wants more places for to take their kids out to the parks. I know that we've talked about the recreation in your district and all the work that's being done in Vestal Park and creating opportunities for people in neighborhoods in District 2 to be able to have a park in walking distance for health and wellness, things that are happening in District 5, so that way people can go out also to the parks, the trails in your district, parks in District 4. It just, all that takes money, and we are reducing the tax rate again this year. We reduced it last year by 10%, and we can't be making comparisons. I don't care what's happening in McAllen. I don't care what's happening in Brownsville. I just care about Harlingen and taking care of the people in Harlingen. So if 1.7 million or 2 million or 3 million is what's happening in the other communities, I can't worry about that. I have to worry about what's happening right here in Harlingen. And so we just heard about all that annexation, and I'm glad that you brought that up. You said how much?
I think it's 200 acres. More
200 acres. So you better believe once those subdivisions are constructed and more people are moving into the city of Harlingen, what does that mean? More services, more garbage to be picked up, more water, more sewer. I mean, all of these challenges that we are having, and we are doing simultaneously growing the city of Harlingen and working on these challenges that we have. But in addition to that, those people are going to be paying property taxes on those homes, which is going to increase the levy. And there's all this conversation about levy and that the levy is going up. In an economy, in a growing economy, it's going to consistently go up. You're going to have more people coming into the community, more taxes that are going to be collected for more people, more businesses. What was the building permits that we had as of last month?
Last year it was 176 million. As of last month, it was 119 million.
Okay, so 176 million last year alone. 140. Is that where we're at right now?
No, I think for now it's 119. Javier, is that correct? 119 million for building permits through last month?
This fiscal year, 139 and change.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
With 1
You're
month.
cutting me short here.
With 1 month to go.
And we have 1 month to go. So I would really like to meet what we did last year. So last year, last fiscal year, I think was new for this entire commission, and we had record numbers. The last time it was in 2012, what was 118 million in construction value, and we surpassed that with those numbers last year, and we have already surpassed that 2012 figure this year, and we hope to surpass that again this year. And so with that means that there's more folks coming in. And I know I don't see Kareem here, but he did a wonderful presentation. There he is. And he did a wonderful presentation last city commission meeting in talking about that levy, those additional funds aren't just coming from single family homes. They're coming from the railroad, from co-ops, and so many more taxing properties, and not just the single-family homes. And so it is misleading to say that is what's happening. And so I hope that this commission really considers the fact that we have given ample opportunity to every single commissioner that it sits on this dais to look at the budget and see if there was any wasteful spending. And I heard from each and every person on this commission that there was no wasteful spending and there was nowhere to cut. And so with that, we should all be proud of the budget that we have crafted together after weeks and weeks and months of workshops and meetings and separate meetings that each of you do on your time off to meet with finance as well. And so we need to be sharing that information because that is factual information. Sometimes it's difficult to hear when folks come up here and say things in public comment, because public comment is just that. It's commentary. It does not mean that it's true. It doesn't mean that it's false. It just means that that's a person's opinion or perspective. But what we do here, this is what we're doing in a transparent way so that the community knows that we are being good stewards of taxpayer money.
Now, may I mention about today's economic news?
Sure.
So people have mocked the city of Harlingen because last year we made $1 million on our short-term investments. Like that's a crime. Interest rates a few years ago were 0.1, 0.2, and we made chump change. Today, the Federal Reserve reduced interest rates by 50 basis points. And what that means is by 0.5%, they reduced interest rates by 10%, short-term interest rates. They can only control the short end of the yield curve. So that means all things being equal, we're only going to make $900,000 or less this upcoming fiscal year. And if we are heading into a recession, they will continue to lower interest rates, which means less money to the city. And so you have to plan this. Whether it's your business or your household or your city, you have to plan for rainy days. And we know some of our income source is going to fall, guaranteed.
And another thing I would just add is that this commission has been very focused on where we are spending our money and where money was spent in the past. And I know that we reviewed contracts, reviewed leases, did everything that we could to make sure that there wasn't any wasteful spending. And we can't forget that because the city was in a great financial situation, we were able to, and I think you eloquently explained in detail, where we had to take money out of our general fund and the EDC fund to pay off a loan that the city had entered into years and years ago that was just accruing interest and was really going to be on the backs of taxpayers for decades to come, probably 20, 30, 40 years. And we were able to extinguish that debt. And what does that do? That lowers our general fund. And so even though we were able to do that and to make sure that that debt was going to be extinguished and the remaining small interest that was left over was going to be frozen in time, that is something that this commission did unanimously also. And we can't forget that that was almost a little over $3 million that we had to take to be able to do that. And so those are things that I don't think that people really consider. And maybe they're not so engaged or don't know that that's something that we did. But we are doing that. So the work here in the dais isn't just done every first and third Wednesday of the month. It's really all the time, 24/7. It seems like, especially when there's a rain event, right? So this is something that we have done, and we have carefully reviewed everything. And like I said, no one on this commission has expressed it to me or in any of our meetings that there's anywhere that we can cut on this budget. So I think what you've done and what you've provided is really the best that we can do at this time, and we hope that next year we're able to have a budget where we're going to have these expenses, these one-time expenses are not going to be on the budget, so we'll be in a better situation. But making the investments in our people and in the equipment that they need is really going to help this entire community moving forward.
Thank you.
All right. So is there any other comments, questions for Robert? If not, is there a motion? Do you have something to say?
Yes. On this particular one, the consideration and possible action on this budget, we're short of $1 million and change. 2 weeks ago, how were we going to balance this one out?
Okay.
This is a balanced budget, Commissioner.
Okay, because when I have a proposed revenues at 114 million, proposed expenditures of 115.
That's because we can't count the, we transferred about 3 million from the fund balance, 3.5. We can't count that as new revenue because it's already in our savings account, so to speak.
And plus, we are doing one-time purchases for one-time items,
And
the capital
we
items.
discussed this at the last meeting.
For future reference, can we really take into consideration lease to buy?
We're leasing some of our police cars now, Commissioner. And we're leasing some of the golf carts that are going to be delivered pretty soon. Those are all being leased.
I'm referring to the big-time purchases for the public works and so on.
I don't know, can you lease like a maintainer or?
You can, but at the end of the term, what do you have? You spend a lot of money in lease, and then you're still going to have to go look for more equipment because equipment is needed here. I mean, as you and I have had this conversation before, we're in dire need of equipment, and that's what we're doing right now. The citizens keep asking for more, which they should, and we're trying to produce with more with less, and it's hard. You know, our public works department has grown from a little bit over 105 employees to close to 130, and we're still short on meeting the expectations that we set for ourselves. So it's very hard. We constantly need equipment here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there's no other questions or comments, is there a motion?
Mayor, do we need a
This is
reading?
an ordinance.
Oh, yes, sorry.
An ordinance adopting the revenue and expenditure budget for the city of Harlingen, Texas for the fiscal year October 1, 2024 through September 30th, 2025, providing for publication of the caption of this ordinance and ordaining other matters related to the foregoing.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
And this will be a record vote.
Oh, sorry.
Well, that's not this one. This is the second one, right?
They do require a record vote on the.
Right,
but
but we
there's
still
not a
need a
script.
motion and a second.
Oh, okay.
Right. So is there a motion?
He made a motion.
Yeah, motion.
And a second. Okay, then we'll start with Commissioner Kinsey.
Aye.
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 Thank you.
H?
All right.
Item H, consideration and possible action to approve an ordinance on second and final reading adopting the tax year 2024 ad valorem tax rate for maintenance and operations M&O, together with the interest and sinking IS rate for fiscal year 2025 by record vote, Finance Department.
Again, this is the second and final reading of our tax rate. Our M&O tax rate is proposed at 0.453628, and our interest and sinking is 0.073896 for a total rate of 0.527524. This is a lower rate than last year.
And
By about 1.7 cents.
And once again, despite it being a lower rate, we have more tax revenue.
Correct.
Okay. And so this is going to require 3 motions, and so can I get the first motion?
Well, Mayor, I think the attorney needs to read the
Oh, you
caption.
didn't read the caption, I'm sorry.
An ordinance of the City of Harlingen, Texas, levying ad valorem taxes for use in support of the municipal government of the city for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2024, and terminating September 30th, 2025, providing for a portion of each levy for specific purposes, providing when taxes shall become due, when same shall become delinquent if not paid, providing for publication and an effective date, and ordaining other matters related to the foregoing.
So before we do that, I just want a reminder, because I didn't bring it with me today, but at the last meeting, and I know that others will be tuning in at home, there was mention earlier that there was one city in the Rio Grande Valley that was lower than us in the tax rate. But do you remember some of those that were not?
I do, actually.
I don't know if you have that with you, but it.
Other ones include Primera, Palm Valley, La Jolla, Alamo, Brownsville, Edinburgh, Donna, San Juan, Los Fresnos, Weslaco, Port Isabel, Progreso, San Benito, Combs, La Feria, town of Indian Lake, Far, Mercedes, Elsa, La Villa, Rio Hondo, Santa Rosa, Ed Couch.
And those all have higher, and some have much higher tax rates. And in addition to that, I was really trying to look, and I know you and I tried looking, and I couldn't find a single city that adopted the no new revenue rate.
It's hard to find. They pretty much go voter approval or just below the voter approval.
Right. Okay. Just wanted that for some clarification. Okay. And so we do need the
I'll do it.
first motion?
I move that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, what?
I move that the maintenance operations tax rate be fixed at 0.453628 per 100.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. And then we'll start with Commissioner.
Aye.
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 Nay.
Aye.
Okay. And you got that?
Yes, thank you.
I move that the interest and sinking tax rate be fixed at 0.073896 per 100.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those, I'm sorry. Kinsley?
Aye.
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 We have one more?
I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.527524 per $100, which is effectively a 5.57 increase in the tax rate.
Okay. Kinsley?
Second.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry,
Aye.
Sherry's voting. Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Okay. You got what you needed?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you for all of your hard work and your team. City Manager?
I'd like to say thank you also to the commission for doing that.
Okay. Can we move around again, Melinda, and let's take up the loaves and fishes?
That is,
Oh,
Which?
the loaves and fishes?
I think that may have been in consent.
Yeah, I think that's you consent.
There's the two contracts, right? One for 75, one for 50.
Yeah, it was
Yes,
J
those
and K. They were done in consent.
Correct. Page 3, the bottom of page 3.
Okay.
Here.
Yeah, we
There you
already
go.
approved those.
Okay. We're moving around. It's fine.
All right. Well, for the record, Commissioner Mike really wanted to get that out as soon as possible, so thank you. Okay, then let's keep on going.
Okay. Item 10I, consideration and possible action to approve a resolution adopting the Harlingen Community Improvement Board budget for fiscal year 2024-2025, Finance Department.
Good evening, Mayor and City Commissioners. This is a resolution for the 2025 budget for the 4B, the Harlingen Community Improvement Board. We have total revenues of $2,510,000 and total expenditures of $2,449,428. The 4B board did meet on the 5th to review and recommend approval of this budget.
Is there any,
Make a motion to approve, aye.
Second. I have a question. Actually, I have a suggestion. First things first, I'm not in agreement of dropping $200,000 on the spay and neutering services. My suggestion, because
it's in the budget? And you were saying?
my suggestion, my recommendation would be to really consider and have a good discussion with the people from the Humane Society. Because as we stand, 2 years ago, they got $400,000. I'm sure by now we've doubled in expenditures over that $400,000, and it's just going to keep on increasing. So now you know why I disapprove of this. Thank you.
Wait. Are we talking about in this
We're
giving $200,000 to the shelter for spay and neuter?
Yes.
That's in this. Okay. Shannon, I have some questions, please.
Yes, sir.
I know males and females, different costs to neuter. What does it cost to neuter an animal?
Cats are, it depends on which vet you go to, because they all charge varying prices. I would say males are between $80 and $100 for a
Okay.
cat, and females are about $120 to $140.
Okay. And dogs?
Dogs vary on size, 0 to
Right.
25 pounds, 26 to 50, and then 50 and above.
Approximate cost.
I would say anywhere from 150 to about 300, depending on the size.
So $200,000 would neuter about what? Am I right? 10,000 animals?
I don't want to try to do that math in my head.
Yeah, I'm just
Math is
doing
not
it
my
in my
strongest
head.
suit.
Gabe has those numbers.
Okay.
I think
Approximate.
to do, and we did it on dogs, it's about 1,100 animals.
We got a reduction in the rate.
Because of what?
Reduction in the cost for the spay and neuter.
Okay. You know, the shelter is becoming a money pit. It's becoming a black hole in which we toss money. And this is CDBG money, which would go to help out certain individuals who got in line and to get their animals neutered. It's not for the good of the whole city. It's good for a few people.
It's not the CDBG. It's not.
Where's the money coming from?
It's 4B.
Quality of life projects.
Quality of life project. Okay.
Community improvement.
A quality of life is fixing the pools. Quality of life is adding to parks, fixing parks. As I recall, we needed like $34 million in a perfect world to make all of our parks perfect. We're not. It's an improper use of the money.
When that board met, was that the only thing they looked at and considered? I mean,
They actually had to approve the budget for this upcoming year. So they met to approve that. They'd actually approved funding this about 8-9 months ago, but we had to go to the process of having a public hearing, advertise in the newspaper, for 60 days and then advertise again for the public hearing. So when they met, they actually had to approve this budget, which is for the upcoming fiscal year, which also sets aside funding for some of the upcoming obligations. And then they approved, this was the only project, the new project they approved.
So just to kind of put things in perspective, we've been working on this for almost a year, right? I think, and I know you mentioned that the public hearings, but the Community Improvement Board, and this was run by Mark to make sure that this was an appropriate expense.
That's
So
correct, Mayor. It's a public health issue.
It is, and it is a public health issue. The other committed funds on here on the budget is the Destination Park, Phase Trails, Phase 2 and the trails. There's a little over $1 million on there. The Tony Butler Golf Course, all the money, the several millions of dollars that we've spent on the golf course for those improvements came from this board as well. And there's been, obviously, the debt service for the convention center comes in here. There's about $100,000 that goes into that. So this is, when you're looking at the entire, these total adopted expenditures of $2.5 million, you're getting $200,000 that's dedicated to spay and neuter of pets. And I know it seems that, that there's still this constant conversation, and I don't know why you mentioned that, Commissioner Morales, when it was unanimous for the city to move forward and to move past where we were in the past and to have the Harlingen Animal Shelter. That was unanimous. It was not just, one person or two or city management or city staff or anything. It was it was a decision that was unanimously made. And, to say otherwise is just not true. And I don't know, Commissioner Mesmer, if that is, as you mentioned, a money pit. This is not money that we're throwing at the shelter. The money this is going to be able to provide spay and neuter services. It really boggles my mind that anyone would be opposed to spay and neuter in our community. It has been a challenge. There are animals that need to be spayed or neutered to control the overpopulation of pets. It was, again, how I mentioned earlier, sometimes you can come up here and say things in public comment and people take that as truths. But there are other issues, and I'd encourage you to look into the issues that the shelter had been tasked and challenged with distemper. Distemper is something that if it goes through the shelter, it's highly contagious. And what happens to animals that end up with distemper and it spreads throughout the entire shelter? There is going to be euthanasia, and that is not something that's unique to the city of Harlingen. So taking an isolated incident and then making it as if that is the goal of the shelter is just absurd. And did you know that, Commissioner, that is what happened? Because if not, I would encourage you to
Is that why
look into that.
why we have 200 and some odd euthanasians animals?
That is.
That's the reason behind it?
I'm not sure that exact number is accurate, but I know that there was, and I spoke with the health department and with city management and with Josh and with our vet that we have, and it was the vet's decision to make these decisions on the pets that had distemper. They work really hard. That staff there, to really say that they're not working hard or there is no foster program or they're not doing adoptions, I encourage you to spend time. If you haven't been out to the shelter to go see the hard work that they do, then I encourage you to do that, because every single person that works in a shelter, no matter whether it's the city of Harlingen or any other shelter anywhere across the region, across the state, they're good people that work there. And so we need to remember that they are human beings that work there. They're doing hard work, and we need to provide them the resources that they need. I know that you are you have a soft spot in your heart for cats. You've got a ton of cats. We have an ordinance.
Dogs and parrots.
Okay. We have, I know that everybody here gets the calls about the ordinance that I think you pushed through when I wasn't here on this commission.
You voted for it, Frank.
And you voted for that too. And it was to go out into the community, and when they capture the feral cats, to bring them into the shelter and to either do the spay or neuter and then put them back out into the community. That is an ordinance that's in our books. We haven't been able to really live up to what it is that we're supposed to be doing under that ordinance because we don't have the additional funds. And it was not happening before. I know people keep saying that it was happening before. I encourage you to look into that, because if you talk to the community at large, they will tell you that it wasn't happening. And there was no access to the shelter. People were not allowed to bring in animals into the shelter. It was, and we've gone through this, and I don't want to relive it, but you know that is accurate. This $200,000 will go to every single animal that is adopted out of the shelter will be spayed or neutered, which will minimize the overpopulation in our community. Right now, we have a great relationship with a local vet, and she is doing all she can to help us. And when we have those longer term stays, because we do, right? We have long-term stay pets, and those get spayed or neutered so they can be more desirable for adoption. And they are adopted. And it becomes beneficial for the person to adopt these longer stays because they've already been spayed or neutered. Now, all pets that are adopted, so that way we have more control. And we don't have to, wait for them to come back to be spayed or neutered. That will provide us that opportunity. In addition to that, the feral cats will be able to spay or neuter them, put them out in the community, and those we have a problem in Harlingen, and it's not just Harlingen. If we're being honest, it's all across the Rio Grande Valley, all across the state. So this helps that. Is it a quality of life? Yes, it's a public health issue. And that is the reason why this commission was concerned previously because of the stray population. You had that. You almost got attacked by a dog just the other
Two pit bulls.
Two pit bulls, right? We want to be able to control what we can, and this gives us the opportunity to do that. This money is coming from the Community Improvement Board. They approved it unanimously, and if I don't understand why you would not support spay and neuter.
How much do you want to spend on what we have going on right now? How much, when are you going to say we have spent enough money on our animal shelter before you can say, you know what, I think I made a mistake. We made a mistake. $1 million, $2 million? Because if we can work together with the Humane Society, a lot of this can be taken care of if we work in conjunction.
I don't understand.
I'm sure you don't understand because I'm not trying to go back. But at the end of, look, I take that back.
Let me
I take that back.
Let me just tell you
I
this
am
really
going back.
quick. Okay, let me, I understand what you're saying, and if you regret your decision that you made, then I can respect that. If you feel like you made a mistake and that you voted incorrectly and that you made a decision to move with the Harlingen Animal Shelter and move away from the Humane Society, then I can respect that and I accept that. But that doesn't change the fact that we are here where we're at right now. And we need to be responsible and do what we need to be able to provide an opportunity to reduce the pet population in our community.
Remember, it was a consensus vote back in there. It wasn't Frank was for it, okay? But that's okay. We can say potatoes, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I'm opposed to this.
Okay. And
Okay?
the other thing is that you keep saying that we should go back and work with the RGV Humane Society, but correct me if I'm wrong, but we did have an RFP out, and it was for a nonprofit to run the shelter. And in addition to that, I made sure through our city staff that the RGV Humane Society knew that they could apply to be able to provide services for the city. And did they apply?
Not
Did
to my
they do a
knowledge, no,
proposal?
they did
No,
not.
right? And the reason why I'm sorry?
They declined.
They declined, exactly. They declined. So you keep saying we should work with them. They haven't expressed a desire to work with the city of Harlingen. We did not terminate their contract. We didn't renew their contract. And so when their contract expired, we went out to see what was best for the city of Harlingen because there were a lot of issues. And you are conveniently, forgetting the issues that were present. There were a lot of them. And I know that you want to forgive all of that and just focus on one issue, but that's a disservice to the community. There were problems, we addressed them, we gave them an opportunity to ensure that what they were going to do was going to be transparent, and they were going to be able to provide us where every single dollar of our tax dollars, of our community's tax dollars, were going to go, and they could apply. They declined to apply, so now here we are. So you're the only one saying, let's go with them, because they're not here asking for this contract. They are not servicing the city of Harlingen. City of Harlingen animals are at the City of Harlingen Animal Shelter, period. And so we have an obligation now. If you want to vote against spay and neuter, I'm taking that as that you don't care that there are animals that need spay and neuter, because those folks that may potentially not be able to afford it, we have an opportunity to fill that void. And in addition to this, we're going to ask the Community Improvement Board potentially for additional funds to help even more people, so that way we can tackle the problem. Every single vet and every animal advocate will tell you that the way to solve this problem is through spay and neuter. And now you don't want to get on board with a solution because you're still upset that you feel like you made the wrong decision.
This is not the solution, okay?
What is the solution? Tell me.
Thank you, but no thank you. Here's the situation.
Now, what is the
No,
solution?
hear me out. What you're going to spay and neuter 2,000 tops animals if they're at 100. Is that going to turn the tide? I don't think so. Okay, you're looking at 200,000 at $100 a service. That's what, 2,000? 2,000 animals that you. Is that going to turn the tide? Is that going to clear up a lot of the strays out there?
Give me a second. You're a very intelligent man.
Well, thank you.
If a cat produces how many times in their lives?
You asked the simple question. Here's the complex answer. I think it was Fibonacci who looked at the reproduction of bunny rabbits. And back in the, 1700s. And cats go into heat, 2-3 times a year maybe. And one female cat in the course of a year, and you multiply that times a couple of cats, you're talking 10, 15, 18, 20,000 cats in a year. Dogs tend not to have as big a litter as cats, but the numbers are outstanding too. And you brought that pit bull, which I don't like. I could see its nipples. I could see it's a mama. And I don't know how many puppies it had.
We don't either.
Yeah. But dogs and cats reproducing. And,
So
and,
one
I, and
cat-
I do and I do understand.
One cat can have how many cats? Kittens?
24, and that first litter by the end of the year can produce hundreds more.
From one
It's not arithmetic. It's geometric.
I understand,
Okay.
but 2,000
And I
is
do
going to go a long way.
understand public health issues. I do understand all the disease and the vectors. Trust you me, I understand it. At my Rotary Club, 12, 15 years ago, before the Humane Society came and asked us for $50,000 only to neuter female cats, because it's senseless to neuter male cats. Male cats will kill each other off. And if you want to curb a population, you have to neuter the females.
I think this is the goal, is for the cats.
But given all of this, yeah.
So again, I ask you, Commissioner Morales, what is the solution?
I don't have the solution that'll satisfy you.
No,
Okay, so at the end of the day, like we've done before, we'll take the vote. I'll be the nay vote.
And you
Okay.
won't have a reason for your nay vote.
But what I will do, if you don't mind, I will reach out to members of the Humane Society and see if they're willing to come to the table. Would that be okay?
You're welcome to do what you will, but I will say that they declined the proper process, and I'm going to give 100% support to our staff and the shelter because they need that.
That's fine.
But again, you're welcome to do what you, so what I'm hearing is that you're voting against it. You have no solution other than the fact that you regret your decision in the past and you want someone else to operate the shelter.
Keep in mind, you're an attorney, so we'll just move forward, please.
And you're a commissioner, and you should have
Yes,
answers
ma'am.
to these very important questions for our community, and you have no solutions. You sit
I-
here.
I'm
and
already
you can-
giving you an option, but that option I will be exploring myself. Okay? So let's see what happens in 2 weeks. Okay? Maybe they'll come to their senses and say, you know what? Let's put bygones, let bygones be bygones, and let's sit at the table. But I do realize we still have some hurt feelings here and there. So,
It's not about feelings, Commissioner. It's about doing what's right. And you know, all I'm hearing is that you have no solutions, you don't want to support the shelter, and you're not supporting city staff, and that is just disheartening. But I understand your position, I respect that. Is there any other discussion?
Mayor, if I could just, Commissioner Kinsley, we did have a placeholder of $500,000, but that's something that Finance recommends we do every budget. That money is not allocated. It's just put out there in case somebody asks, do you have funding for a particular project? So that $500,000 that's in the budget right now is not allocated to anything. It's just a placeholder.
Thank you.
And this is a qualifying expense?
Yes, it is.
Mark? And it was unanimously approved by the
board, yes.
Okay. So,
Motion to approve?
is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries.
Item 10J, consideration and possible action to approve a resolution ratifying the property tax reflected in the adopted budget for fiscal year 2025 Finance Department.
Thank you. So now that the budget has been adopted, we do need to ratify the tax rate that is included in the budget. And this is a resolution.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Sounded like a cat.
Item K, consideration and possible action to declare the itemized list of non-real estate personal property as surplus personal property as recommended by staff and authorize city personnel to conduct a virtual online public auction of said property Saturday, October 12th, 2024, Finance Department.
Motion approved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 10L, consideration and possible action to establish a steering ad hoc committee for the comprehensive parks and downtown master plans, planning and development.
The comprehensive plan and parks master plan and downtown master plan project has commenced with the consultants. We need a steering committee to meet and guide the process. The proposal is to have 2 members from this city commission, 2 members from the planning and zoning commission, 2 members from the parks board, and 2 members from the downtown board.
I'd like to be on this steering committee.
As would I.
So can I just attend? Is that going to be an issue with the quorum?
I think 3 is fine.
Yeah, according to the charter, we won't have issues with quorum on this one.
Okay, okay. Well, then I think then that's good.
And then I did include that staff should be part of this as an ex officio capacity, including yourself, the DID manager, the parks.
Mendes.
Yes, and the city manager.
So then can it be amended to include 3 so that I can be on there if I'm not the ex officio?
You can just approve it with that change.
Yeah, we can.
And there's no issues with quorum?
No, we would probably, it's not a committee, but like we did with the charter, we posted and attend and participate in case we got a quorum of the commission, because then it becomes a problem when you do have a quorum and you start discussing this because this eventually will come back to the city commission for approval. So we would have to post and attend and participate anyway.
Okay. So is that fine? Can we get a motion to approve with that
Motion to approve. Excuse me.
addition?
I apologize for interrupting you.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the steering committee with Commissioner Kinsley, Commissioner Lopez, and Mayor Sepulveda representing the city commission.
Okay. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 10N, 10M, consideration and possible action to approve a substantial amendment to the City of Harlingen 2023-2024 one-year action plan for $39,000 from Vestal Park Lighting Phase 3, an existing activity, to Vestal Park Improvements, a new activity, CDBG.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed? Motion carries. You did a great job.
Item 10N, consideration and possible action to approve the recommendations of the Community Development Advisory Board to fund the Home ARP Supportive Services, CDBG.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. People love yours, Sandy. Okay.
Item 10O, consideration and possible action to execute a renewal service agreement with the University of Texas Health Science Center at Houston, to implement the Tu Salud Si Cuenta program aimed to promote healthy lifestyles and health-changing lifestyles courses for city residents, and authorize the city manager to sign the contract. Parks and Recreation.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Skipping on to item 10S.
Yes.
Consideration and possible action to accept or deny the donation offered by TXU Energy for 20 30-gallon sized native trees to be planted within the city of Harlingen. Parks and Recreation.
Motion approved to put them at Vestal Park. Second. All in favor? Aye. Motion is granted.
You don't have
Really
space for all
messing up
those
that
trees.
transcript.
You like that? Let's move it along.
Boy.
Put it in here.
All right, can we get a real motion, Commissioner?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Please thank them very much for us.
Yes, exciting stuff.
That's some beautiful stuff.
Oh, and if you can thank Tu Salud, their paddle battle was phenomenal. So,
Oh, yes. I sent you all a summary of what we've done so far year to date. I emailed it to you also, just so y'all can.
We just think she's incredible. She's a great addition to the team and everything y'all are doing. I know that the community's excited, and just looking forward to more of these types of events, because I wasn't able to go to beat Commissioner Lopez, and so I really want us to have another event.
she can even hit the ball sometimes. She's a great
Okay,
man,
all right,
great attorney.
moving on to the next item.
Item 10T, consideration and possible action to authorize the city manager to award a construction contract with RGB Asphalt LLC for the Los Vecinos Street Improvement Projects, bid 2024-15, designed by staff and funded by the Harlingen Housing Authority Engineering Department.
Good evening, Mayor and City Commission. My name is Luis Vargas. I'm the city engineer for the record.
Hey, Luis, are you? Do you feel comfortable with who got the top? Who came in at the top bid?
Yes, Commissioner.
Do you feel comfortable that they'll do a good job and we won't have any issues later down the road?
I do feel comfortable.
Thank you. Motion to approve.
Second.
Third.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Hilda, I didn't see you there. I would have moved you up. You have a lovely, lovely day.
Item 10U, consideration and possible action to authorize the Environmental Health Director to purchase a vehicle via TIPS USA to replace Unit 194, which was assigned to a health inspector, health department.
Is there a
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Item 10B, consideration and possible action to implement a national revitalization project.
It was neighborhood revitalization
Oh,
project.
neighbor.
I was like, what is national
No.
revitalization?
Neighbor.
And then I got thrown off. I was like,
Ford and I talked when we first got elected about making sure to keep each other honest about being and going through our neighborhoods and making sure that we give them the best services we possibly can. I would like to implement an operation, what I will call Operation Bonito, where I would go, and each of us would go with staff through our neighborhoods to see which improvements that they need. And over the next month, the following month, it's Oscar drew the short straw on this one with me. So we would go, let's say, the first weekend of the month. Oscar and I would walk through certain neighborhoods. I would break up my district, and you guys would break up your district in certain, I would call them, let's say, precincts, for lack of a better term. And then we would handle all those little projects that we can handle over the rest of that month, right? So I brought it up to the mayor. The mayor recommended I bring it up to you guys so that everyone have the opportunity to do the same project. I know a lot of us already drive through the neighborhoods with and do potholes and
Having them with us on the spot, I mean, to identify it, that's the key.
My only suggestion would be that this would require that the commissioners themselves go with the staff.
Well,
Yeah, they would have to be because I don't want just the staff going out there. I think we as commissioners should be a little bit more hands-on and be there with the staff in order to familiarize ourselves. Yeah.
So I've been kind of reflecting on this since, and I really want to commend y'all for all the work that you do. I know that sometimes it goes unnoticed, and so I thank you, each and every one of you, because I'm not the one going through the individual districts and finding all of the issues. I know you stuff at the park at Pendleton, you're always kind of on top of that, and all of the neighborhoods in District 1, and I know that you do your drive-throughs, and I know that you even considered doing them in the daytime to have better opportunity to capture things, and I know that you always do that too, and I can reach out to you to talk to your constituents, and so I know that we have a proactive commission, but I was thinking about this and staff, and I'd like to know how often these are going to occur, with what frequency, and then I'm concerned about potential overtime for hourly staff, if it's going to be on the weekend. Like, what do you envision how this is going to work? Because I don't want to overburden. Also, I know that city managers, that their time is very important, and if they're with you in a car kind of driving around, that takes them away from things that they are doing. So what does that exactly look like in terms of time?
So the way I envisioned it, Mayor, and thank you for the question, is it'd be Oscar and I, right? We would walk through the neighborhood on the Saturday morning, right? And he and I would talk about different improvements we see that we can do in our district or in that neighborhood, right? So for me, I love tree canopies, like that go over the street, and I know that we have a program that does the tree trimming. So Oscar and I would go through it. We would make all our notations. Monday morning, we would turn it over to staff to do it during normal business hours. So it wouldn't be anything, and they would have the rest of that month to knock it out. So if we do it the first, Saturday, and then the goal is to try to knock out all those projects during normal business hours, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, the rest of that month, and then we move to the next precinct, and so on and so forth.
I think, Commissioner, we need to figure out a way to prioritize what's going to get done, because as it is now, staff has a list of things they're working on.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to incorporate whatever it is that they're doing into that schedule already.
Mhm.
And so I just want to make sure that the list is realistic, that we can accomplish it within the time span that staff have. And then also, I'd like to be considerate of staff's time on the weekends, is not go more than 4 hours on any given weekend, and generally on a Saturday, not Sunday, because obviously staff has religious obligations, and so.
I think we can do this without making it hard. I mean, I think we'll war game it, obviously, with everybody concerned. I mean, because you're right. We don't want to be paying people overtime, but I will feed Oscar when I take it.
Okay. Josh is off limits on Sundays. He's praying for me.
Yeah.
So.
Can you get into his new midlife crisis car that he's got?
I saw that today. I didn't know.
You got another car? Mira. So I think it's gonna. I mean, I know. Like I said, I know you guys are already doing it, and I people are always asking, like, why do we have single-member districts and instead of the at-large? And I think this is the benefit of it, right? The single-member, because you are intimately connected with the people that are in your neighborhoods, and you're walking them, you're with your families, going to those parks, and, so on and so forth. But again, like, is this going to be once a month? And so it'll be District 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or is it going to be more than once? Like,
Well, I think
is
it's
it going to be every
something we
weekend?
can tie into with the community cleanups, the neighborhood cleanups that code enforcement does now, that we can kind of partner up during when we do those and identify areas as we're driving around picking up the trash. I mean, I think it's something we could probably war game like that even.
So speaking of that, I was talking to, and we haven't kind of had a follow-up conversation. I was talking to Javier Mendez about doing potential, getting volunteers for neighborhood cleanups and park cleanups and getting people to sign up, and then maybe we can recognize them for their volunteer efforts, but having a schedule. And maybe if we can, I just think we kind of need to flush it out a little more so that way they know kind of what's expected of them, because what I don't want is that every Saturday, we've got one of these three guys working, and if we say yes, let's do it, then that could potentially happen. I don't think so, right? But it doesn't. You never know, right? And so we want to make sure that we're being respectful of their time.
And I think the best way we can do it is, instead of Oscar coming out with me, I'll have the principal come out with me, right? And he can tell me if I'm getting too crazy. So, Gabe, you're with me walking every Saturday.
I have no problem telling you that you're.
You just want to
you've gone
know
too far.
for everything.
Reel it back in.
But I think Ford's correct. We'll figure it out, and we'll make sure we put it together in a way that everyone's comfortable. And you guys will work with us on this.
You just can't come into my office and ask for more money to do some of the stuff that you want to get done. You can't do that.
So I think it'd be great.
I'll ask for you.
I think it'd be great if we could put something together, like memorialize how you want to get it done, and then just share it with all of us. So that way they know what's expected of. Because I'm assuming that everybody's going to do it, right? Like that's the goal.
I do it already, but I just want to just make sure that we're all going to have to participate. Right? Not all of us, but what I mean is I don't want this to become, because my whole thing is I've always wanted the entire commission, because I know in the past it wasn't always the case, not you guys, but just in the past, that they weren't always hands-on. And I just don't want this to be something that's going to be later on just delegated to staff. Hey, go search through my district and see what you find. I think this is something where the commissioner has to be there, present with staff, and be on hands.
Well, the way I see it, Commissioner, is it's commissioner oriented and driven, right? So staff's not going to just go out and walk unless. And I'm not saying they're holding my hand, I'm holding their hand.
They drive the city.
Yeah,
on a regular basis, but they may be looking for different things than you are.
Well, exactly. I mean, one of the big things I've got in some of the older parts of District 1 is the alleys. And I mean, to be able to walk that alley with somebody and see what's realistic on getting done, as an example. Because I see it when I walk on the weekends, and, everybody's got alleys they got to deal with. But, what can we do to fix it without breaking the budget?
Correct.
It's like, I kind of agree with Norma. Can we have something written down so we can, narrow it down? Because right now it seems like you're just winging everything. Because my thing is I just want to make sure that the commissioners are involved. Because I know we're doing this, and then I want to later on, change. You know what I mean? So is there something we get written down or something? Or what do you guys think?
I can't speak for who's going to be your replacement someday or his replacement someday, but I'm good for it, obviously. I think
No, yeah. But I'm worried about the future.
I think it's a good idea. I do think personally that the commissioners should be doing this themselves, and I'm not talking about y'all because y'all are doing it, but in the future, right? Like you mentioned, you can't see what's going to happen in the future, but if we could have something, kind of a roadmap of what it is that we're doing, maybe we can formalize it somehow. So that way, hopefully when we're not here, people want to continue it because it's successful.
Well, then let's table it until we can back up with a plan. I mean, I think in theory, everybody's on board with it.
I was going to say we push forward with it. You and I are the guinea pigs.
Rock on.
And then we put forth the best practices and the plan that we've come together and give you guys a playbook on what was successful for us, what was not successful for us, and then we move forward.
Well, I really think I think this is good. I think it's, I like that you're being proactive and like I said, this commission does that already, but I don't want the community to feel like there's a disservice, like, oh, well, this is only happening in District 1, this is only happening in District 2, and these guys are just waiting to see how this works. I think if we have an idea of some kind of schedule, like this is going to happen. And that's kind of what I was trying to get at. Like, if we're going to ask them to do it, so is that like every week, or you're going to, what are we, September, October, November, December, or is it, how often? So that way they're kind of expecting, like, okay, this is what, I'd like for everybody to participate. And I think this is a good way to get that participation from everyone on the commission to be able to do that. Now, if, it doesn't mean that it's an ordinance, you don't have to do it, but, we'd like everybody to do it, and if everybody has their schedule, kind of like when we did the.
That's why I said to tie it in with the neighborhood cleanups.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I'd be on board with that, because then there's a schedule and there's some expectation. And again, I know everybody here even goes to those already, and I know some of y'all go to each other's and stuff. So it's not like it's not happening, but that way the community, when they're looking at the video and they're saying, well, what are they going to do? What are they talking about? And they're going to, this is kind of a pilot program. No, we have an idea, and then the community knows what to expect. I think they're going to get excited about it.
Like, I love the idea. This idea, I love it. It's awesome. But the thing is, the way I envision it, it's kind of like what we did with the townhouse. Because, like, I think we as commissioners should be required to do this. Because I think this is part of the job description. We're driving around in our district, seeing what's going on. So I think this is a great idea. So I would be in favor of doing exactly what we did with the townhouse, where we mandated, like, a commissioner has to go at least, once a quarter or something like that in his district, drive around with staff to figure out what's needed and all that. So I would be in favor of that, because I want to put this in the books, so that way this is mandated. So this is not just something that a commissioner wants to do or not, but this is expected. This is what the people of Harlingen should expect from the commissioners. And it's written down where, like, hey, we expect you to do this every quarter. You haven't done it. Why haven't you done it? That's what I envision. I wanted, like, the town hall thing that we passed about a couple meetings ago. That's what I envision. Because I love the idea. What you guys came up with is brilliant. I love it. But I want to put it on paper, so then that way it'll be mandated that commissioners do it.
I'm happy to craft another one if you want. I just didn't want to impose on. I mean, I think it doesn't have to. I like that, but I don't know if that was what you were getting at with what you're doing. But that's a great idea.
To y'all's point, then, let's bring it back next week, staff, or next
meeting.
Next meeting, Oscar, Ford, and I, and Gabe, we can get together, kind of just put pen to paper, have like a one-page memo.
And Josh, I want Josh to play.
Josh too,
Plan
because it's
on
Monday to Friday, not hitting you on
Not on
Sunday, right? And then we can just kind of put pen to paper and get a general plan.
I think it's a good idea.
Get with code, get their schedule.
Correct.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we can get the cleanups that we have scheduled.
Yes, we'll get.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think that's great. And then this is a good time for us to start those others at the parks, because I just felt because people were talking about they give us their feedback on whatever park. So well, it would be great to have them kind of help in the parks themselves, so that way they get an idea of what it takes, right, in terms of the cleanups and seeing. And I know that one time I went over to Vestal, I think it was the first time that I had ever been, and I met you out there, and I was like, this is pristine, this is beautiful, like I don't see any issues. And I had seen some comments about the area, which is why I wanted to go out. But when I got there, I was, not surprised, but I was happy to see, right, that it was so nice and clean and cut and everything. But it could be that there's somebody that goes, on another time when somebody has, left stuff all over the park or whatever and didn't get the same experience. So I think it's good to get the community involved.
And Frank, that goes back to I had talked with you about the city cemetery down there on F Street.
Oh, that's right.
And I've already got my National Honor Society locked up, so in October, we're going to come and do that, and I'll get with you to get the date to what works best for you, so you'd be there for that.
I'll be available.
That's fantastic. All right, so there's a motion to table?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to table.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Oh, but before we move off real quick, if said he was available for each commission, we have our districts, if he can cut it up into different precincts or different little sections, little slices, and so that we can already see it, and just break it up by neighborhood, because obviously we're going to have to walk it, so don't make me walk from one side of the expressway to the other side of the expressway in like one day, okay?
Please do that.
I got it, bro. That's why we said we're going to feed Oscar, and then we're going to walk her right off, right?
He's got a bicycle.
We can do bicycles too, man. Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
We look forward to seeing you at each and every one, Mayor.
All right, I got my cap for the heat.
Yeah.
All right, and so we've tabled the following item, and so now, Melinda, okay?
Item 11, board appointments, specifically appointment or discussion and possible action to include appointment and/or removal of any position subject to appointment or removal by statute, ordinance, or bylaws.
I just have a question. We are still on track to diminish the size of Keep Harlingen Beautiful, correct? We're going to, through natural attrition, get that down to a manageable size. So I have nothing.
I'm going to be reappointing Paul J. Durant to the Harlingen Community Improvement Board and reappointing June Remo to the Healthy Harlingen Advisory Board.
Does that board meet, Josh?
Well,
Kind of, maybe. I mean, that's
we-
what we
we
talked
need
about,
to-
right?
The Healthy Harlingen, we probably need to have a, so I know that it's kind of confusing on how it works, but we don't have any funding for it. And so the funding doesn't come from the city. And so there was money that we were getting from the Legacy Foundation, and we don't have any this time around, so it makes it difficult to do anything. So we're going to have some conversations on how we need to move forward, maybe kind of talk about what we want to do and see if there's going to be any potential for success, right, for a future grant. And if not, then maybe we need to consider about having a city board, right, instead of one that, because this is one that was created when none of us were here, and then there's a nonprofit attached to it, and there's other kind of layers of challenges. Yes, and so maybe we can work on that next week or the following week, depends.
So we're going to submit a grant at the end of this week.
Right.
For
So,
funding the.
right. So it is really going to be contingent upon this and the likelihood of success. And I mean, I hope and if so, then it would be great. But it kind of limits our ability to do anything on that.
We're also submitting another grant for our Royal Park.
Yep.
For the exercise area
Mhm.
and the trail, so we're hoping that gets funded.
Oh, that's the FIT campaign, or that's going to be great. All right. I don't have any appointments. Mike,
None.
is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Oh, if we could go back, I'm sorry, one last thing on
Your omnibus bill?
10V, sorry, project. I've been working with Oscar. I have y'all's project list up and running. I'm putting in some different columns Oscar and I are working on. You should hopefully get it in the next week. So that, please read it when you get it. Make sure that the projects that you want are in the appropriate areas. And then we can hopefully get that up and running in the meeting after that. Okay? So I'll send it to you. Work with Oscar to make sure, Oscar, have you had the different departments? Make sure you have all your projects in there. And then we can move forward to publishing.
I like this teacher mode. What about the omnibus bill? Where are we at with that?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
ordinance.
You're right. I need to get on that. So I've just been slammed. But let me knock this out, the project thing out. Let me knock out this Casa Del Soul thing. Let me knock out this paperwork you guys want. And then I can get to that.
Okay. I just said, because I think you had asked for it to be reoccurring.
You know how I feel now.
God, the commissioner from District 2 is always asking me for things.
All right, so we already did this approval of the board?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Moving on.
Item 12, executive session. All items listed in this section will be deliberated in a closed session. Members of the public are not generally permitted to attend a closed session. Executive session items may be considered as an action item at the discretion of the mayor. However, City Commission will not take any action in closed session. Item 12A, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, 1 and 2, attorney consultation. Section 551.072 regarding land issue. City Attorney.
Is there a motion to go into executive session?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The time is now 8:10 PM, and we will be in executive session and be out shortly. Thank you.
I feel like you should give me a high five for like keeping my talking. Yeah.
There you go. Like the little, like when you're in kinder, with the place cards and on the chair. I'm waiting. All right. The time is now 8:34 p.m. and we are back in open session. Melinda?
Item 13, action on executive session items. The city commission will reconvene in open session and may take action on any item listed in the executive session section of this agenda. Item 13A, consideration and possible action on item 12A as discussed in executive session.
Motion to proceed is discussed to give the city manager the final authority to resolve all issues with this one issue.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Meeting adjourned.
And we are adjourned.
I thought you were doing
Watch your
jazz.
day.